Hey, welcome back to A-Aron Reacts, and I am super excited to share with you my thoughts from the Angelina Jordan concert, right? What are my key takeaways? What are my thoughts, etc. And so this is going to be a review, not a reaction, because obviously I've already seen it, or at least a first-time reaction. And I want a quick apologies because I'm actually doing something I've not done before, is I'm bypassing my membership area, and this is going straight to live once I edit it. My apologies for you members, but I did promise some folks this would be live, and I forgot that I kind of had that process and so forth, and I don't want to lie to them and so forth. So this will be kind of one exception. In general, you know I've been good, and I will continue to be. So I hope you can understand. And so here I want to share with you kind of the days leading up to it, how my reaction went. I did the 100th reaction with folks in person, meeting and greeting people, other angels, as well as the concert experience. I got to meet Angelina and so forth. Just general thoughts. So let's go straight to kind of leading up, because I think it's important to set the stage, right? And so I traveled from Austin to Glendale, arrived at Burbank, so it was only like a 20-minute airport ride in. When I got in there and checked in the hotel, I had to quickly finish doing some video editing for about 20 minutes or so, and met up with Jim Rowe, had coffee, and spent some time with him. Thank you, Jim. That was very pleasurable. Nice start. And then I met up with a bunch of angels for dinner and drinks at BJ's locally there. And when we got there, it was already too big for the table. So I went and talked with the management, and they tried to accommodate us, and ultimately they ended up doing it. We started to take over the restaurant, and we had Angelina, pictures up and everything. It was really awesome, and I really had a blast meeting other angels and talking about it. I mean, it was a ton of fun. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit weird there, and even at the event, we'll talk more about it. Kind of everybody recognized me, which is new for me, right? It really is, and so that was cool and fun. It was different. I met and just in general follow me. I really appreciate you. I really don't consider myself any different than any of you. I want to be very clear on that. It is a little weird. At one point, I said I didn't have a name tag on yet, and I was taking a picture with someone. They're like, "Oh, you don't need a name tag. You're a celebrity." And I certainly wouldn't go that far, but nevertheless, it was cool that some people recognized me and followed me and stuff, and it gave some nice initial talking points and everything. So that was cool. Um, yeah, and ended up sticking around pretty fairly late there, and walking back and everything. And then Friday morning, I had rented out a studio. It was about a mile from most of our hotels and the theater. So people had to take rides there, and I took a ride share and got set up. And the accommodations ended up being pretty good, with one big exception, which I'll get into in a minute. But it ended up working out quite nice. Everybody fit in there. It was a studio, so there was, proper connections. We had a Bluetooth speaker and stuff. I mean, it wasn't perfect, and we didn't have a ton of time to set up, but we made it work. I'll more about that actual reaction here in just a moment. I want to give an apology because there were a couple people who had difficulty getting in, and there was a separate outside entrance and then a separate inside one, and I guess some of them got stuck and stuff. My apologies. We had people helping out, but something got lost there, and I think a couple people showed up that couldn't react to it, and my deepest apologies, really. Obviously, that was not intended. Once I showed up, I started immediately getting set up and so forth, which was actually quite the setup, because I not only had the camera coming from my computer, I had a second webcam going out to the audience. I had my external mic. I had the mic from that. I had the mic from the computer also recording, just a double triple check. I was projecting my screen onto the monitor, and I was recording that. And then we were going out into the Bluetooth speakers, and I also had my headphones that were being externally sent out. So there was a lot to make that work and set up. And the webcam going out to the audience was a last minute decision, which changed all of my setup, actually. So I had a lot to do, and then I had to figure out what their system was and so forth. And I had some help. So again, thank you, Angels, who not only helped set up some of that stuff, but setting up chairs and so forth. That reaction was one of the most fun times of my life. I mean, really, I had an absolute blast. We had, I think, 16 people, if I'm not mistaken, that came in. I think there were a couple more that couldn't. And then Steve Calloway went and unplanned went and broadcast it, and something was lost in the translation. I said I was doing it live with people, and I never indicated I would be streaming. So something got lost in that translation that would be broadcast live, which is just different than being live, right? And so maybe I wasn't clear enough. If so, my apologies. That was never intended. Nevertheless, Steve picked it up and started broadcasting. I think we had another 30 or so angels joined that. And yeah, I did the full Old Enough EP album. We had good discussions. I'm about a third of the way through editing that. Hopefully, we'll get done today, maybe tomorrow at the latest. And I have video additionally from James Thiel, who did a lot of it, as well as Steve, his broadcast in there, right? And so we've got multiple angles and feeds, and we're putting it in it. It's really cool. Um, and that was an absolute blast. I'm not going to get into the mechanics or the specifics of the reaction itself because you'll have to wait for that. But I will say that there's no doubt that that album was epic. And I was very grateful for having done that, that day because there were two songs that she performed that night from that EP. So that was really cool having done that. Okay, so from there, went and had lunch with Adair after a short break and got to know him a little bit. And thank you for that, Adair. And then we brought additional the actual framed pictures that could be signed. And so those were really well done and great work there. And met a bunch of angels at BJ's, and we were outside, and you probably saw some live streams from that, and I shared a quick video as well. All right, here we are just before the Angelina Jordan live concert, hanging out with angels, having a good time. Look at all these huge fans just hanging out, getting ready and anxious to hear an absolutely epic night. I don't even know. My guess was there were about 40 of us, maybe 50 of us there. That was a good time, getting to know folks and so forth. And we learned while we were there, we were still not sure, but we learned that the concert was sold out. And so it was very exciting to show up to, the front entrance and see the sold out with the Angelina Jordan sign above at the Alex Theater. Now, I will say for me, it was a bit surreal to show up to the concert because all of this has happened so fast. I mean, it was almost 5 months to the day. I think it was a day or 5 months and one day or something like that. The day of the concert from the first reaction I had done with Angelina. And so, and by the way, that 100th reaction was 100 Angelina reactions. I'm at over 240 total. But yeah, 100 out of 240 are Angelina. That should tell you something. But it was a bit surreal, and again, meeting folks. There were a lot of people, coming up to me and saying hi and recognizing me and telling me my stuff's great. And again, I really appreciate you. Obviously, it's all for Angelina. And then yeah, Sarah was out front. Got to see her basically break down in tears. She had to put her glasses on because she was so emotional. And I do have a little bit of footage. It's like 20 seconds or something like that. I think of that moment, even if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check, but I think I have when she put on her, or maybe it's just after. I don't remember. But nevertheless, I have a short little clip of her talking to some fans.
I'm from Life. I'm from UK. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Your daughter's amazing.
So you are. Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you. I really appreciate it. There's someone
I spoke to you when I was in front of the palladium. I spoke to you in San Fuel asking about your mother.
You came from England.
Yeah. And you know why? If Mary cannot come to Europe,
Yep.
I have to come to America. Because she's special. Well, we all cry. I assure you, today we're all going to cry. Yeah? Well, I'd like to.
How come?
I will make sure that's tomorrow.
Right.
Yes, I meant that.
Can we give it early before the concert starts? Should-
I'm not sure if I can do that, but I can promise you.
Aaron here is fanboying it up.
And I will take care of you in the
Because
backstage.
the flowers, I mean, the flower for Mary, because we know that Angelina loves flowers.
Yes.
I know the Pink Roses are used to be a favorite. I don't know if you still are.
It is.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you for coming.
I wouldn't be hyped for the world.
That's crazy.
And it's all back down to when we were in Sandefjord and I asked, can your mother sign my book? Because she
Can we tell her the story?
Yeah, I would think so. Absolutely.
Let's tell her the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, can we all allow Dean to go first so we can tell the story of the waitress to her?
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead and tell the story. Tell the story of the waitress to her. Everybody's allowing you to go first.
She's going.
Oh, she's leaving?
Too late.
Too late? Oh, geez.
She's gone.
Oh,
We
darn.
missed.
Oh, well.
missed.
This is the third time she's been out here.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was really neat, I wanted to introduce her to Sarah this way, but we couldn't quite do it. But there was a server at the restaurant that was serving us, and she instantly recognized Angelina Jordan artwork on the back. And she said, "Oh, I know who that is," and whatever. Well, it turns out this server had worked 20 years and never took a day off in her life and had never been to a concert. And she went and asked her manager if she could take off the next night. And sure enough, she was able to. And we did a little bit of a fundraiser and gave her a couple $100 to subsidize that and got her a ticket. And she showed up to the show. And I actually have some video of her. Maybe I'll stick that in here. I think that'll be really cool. Or maybe I'll do that separately. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah. Your very first concert.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Was it just epic?
Yes. She did Frank Sinatra so good. Was so cool. Yes.
I actually interviewed her right before. I got it on video of how do you feel, how excited are you, etc., as well as how was it. So that was really neat. And I was hoping to get that to Sarah, but we didn't quite get an opportunity to. But Sarah was out and about talking to quite a few people and really kind of being a little bit of an ambassador. So that was really cool. All right, so now that brings us to the actual show.
You're the one that gave me the free ticket for the second show in Vegas.
I almost wanted another one to give away. Yeah, I gave away like two tickets back.
And so I was second row center stage. All right, these are the seats. These are the unfortunate people sitting next to me.
Aaron!
Which was really amazing because it was right there. And we had the first opening act, which was, I learned afterwards, Toby Gad's daughter. And I think she sounded great. I got her on video. I wasn't blown away, but, she was obviously a little bit nervous, but I think it was a breakout moment for her, and she sounded great. So that was fantastic. And then we were all blown away. And I've got video of that, and I posted it right away. In fact, I posted it like as soon as it was available because I was so excited. Scott Hoying from Pentatonics was the opener for Angelina Jordan. Now, that absolutely blew my mind because a year ago, maybe even more recently, I don't know, certainly 2 years ago, it easily could have been the other way around, where Angelina was the opening act for Scott, right? And so right as we were getting in, there was a nice little break between, and so forth as we got Angelina going. And quite honestly, I thought that was the end of Scott. Now, I'll tell you right now that one of the key highlights of the night, I'm sure for all, but the biggest one for me, of the entire day, really, and I said this in my video I posted, was Scott came back and not only did a duet with Angelina Jordan, but actually Toby Gad was there accompanying them, and Toby Gad wrote the song originally with John Legend, and he actually shared the story of how that song came to be before they performed it. So you've got Toby Gad, the author, the composer of the song, and the writer, and John contributed as well. He talked about that. You've got Angelina Jordan doing a duet with Scott Hoying of Pentatonix. Absolutely legendary. And not only was the performance fantastic, but to me, that was such a monumental moment because of what it means. The fact that these people are there supporting and being a part of and partnering with Angelina Jordan says everything. Like, this girl's already made it, right? And she's gonna just blow up, and it's just super, super exciting to see that. Now, Rob Christie, who those of you don't know, he's the director at Republic Records, and I think he has 2 Grammys, if I'm not mistaken. I looked it up a while back in the Christmas interview. But legendary in of his own right. He was essentially the MC of the whole thing, right? So for him to be the MC to boot, right? It's unbelievable. And one of the things he said there, and I want to ask all of you to contribute. And I shared this with, we had a chat for the concert, and I shared it with folks there. And I want to encourage each and every one of you, regardless of what anybody says, let's go out there and do it. Let's get it done. Rob suggested, hey, let's promote her. Let's push this. Let's get this on radio stations and so forth. And so I implore you all. I posted a message to the most popular radio station in Austin right after, and I'm going to do more. I encourage you to do the same for your local radio stations. Is let's get that Bad Valentine recording out. That was released the day of the concert, and also the video of it. Right? And so this was monumental from that perspective. So that was another key takeaway for me, is there was a little bit of a story with Bad Valentine, and it was release day. And so that was a big celebration. So, that performance of Bad Valentine was epic in its own right. Not only the performance, but what it meant, right? From a big, just release day perspective and so forth, right? And so, one of the most monumental moments of the whole thing actually was, she called out her teacher, right? And I saw that Chris Walker posted the raw video of this, and I didn't get it on footage. I did post some footage, but and she was thanking her teacher when she did a new song, that was essentially "What Am I to You," and it was about that teacher who was her homeschool teacher, and she talked about how he couldn't make it out, and maybe next time and so forth. And then the pianist said, wait, no, he's here. And she said, what? And she said, I can hear your voice, but where are you? And he's calling out from the balcony. And she asked him to come down, and she broke down in tears on the stage when she was actually talking about what he meant to her and what that moment was. Right? And I, along with somebody else, shouted out to her, let it out. And that was really special. And she was emotional a couple places. In fact, she, from the get-go, right from the very first, after the very first performance, or maybe it was before, I think she went in and performed and then she talked, if I'm not mistaken. And the opening number, by the way, was Set Fire to the Rain. One of the many songs that I had not heard her sing before, which was just fantastic. Um, and she talked about the fact how much this concert meant to her, right? LA, where she grew up part of her life, and LA special. And her to be headlining this, like, sorry, I'm getting choked up because it was clear how much it meant to her. Right? She said that, and that was really cool. And then at the ending, she showed so much emotion. I mean, when she got standing ovations at the end of the first set, everything, I mean, just several points. It was clear that the emotion was real. And she was really grateful to us, right? Um, so those are the main moments for me. Now, the last one I do want to comment on was, um, I'd rather go blind. That solo Just first of all, epic performance. But, we heard Jimmy Z harmonica solo that was, for the ages. It was just ridiculous. And we also heard another sax solo from Jimmy Z on another tune. I'm blanking on what that was, but it was just fantastic. So, and then after he did it, he kind of bowed down to her as well. So it was so cool. And so, Jimmy Z is obviously a legend in his own right. And again, here he is performing for her show. So just so cool. So yeah, I mean, other key takeaways for me, I had just reacted to Bang Bang and Million Miles. And I just released Million Miles. Many of you had just seen that and what I had done with the lyrics and so forth. Which I'll tell you more about that in a minute. And so that was really special to me because they were just, fresh. And then there were a number of songs I had never heard. Set Fire to the Rain, I already mentioned. Right Here Waiting for You. All of Me, I did the whole series with Billie Holiday, but I didn't hear the John Legend version, so that was the duet we talked about. Valerie, I hadn't heard. I'd Rather Go Blind, I hadn't heard. I never heard Princess of Ruins. Love in the Dark, Where Do Broken Hearts Go? And then she did an encore of My Way, which I never heard. Um, there were two songs from the EP, Old Enough, that I just reacted to earlier in the day. Now I'm the Fool and Love Don't Let Me Go. So that was really neat to, just have heard those and hear them live. And then she did a couple new songs for us that she revealed. I already talked about What I Am to You. That one she released with her teacher. And then she did one called Thank You. So, yeah, there was so much here. And, just in general, guys, this concert was it was surreal for me. It was almost the casualness of she's just walking around being a person and then just out belts this incredible thing where when I see videos of her, it's different from the perspective of you see one video in isolation, it's almost like it's worked up to be that, but when you see her in a full concert, you just realize she's just walking down the street talking in terms of busting out a song just one after another. It's truly remarkable, and she's just obviously truly special. And yeah, to fill the air, the sound, the room, live is obviously an extremely different experience. Being there right up close was incredible. There's no doubt it was amazing. This was a life-changing event for me. There's no question about it. It was fantastic. I do think that the audio was a little bit unbalanced, especially towards the beginning. They made some adjustments, maybe fourth song or something like that. But they had the bass drum in the bass up way too high. Vocals were a bit too low. The balance was just a little bit off, and they made some improvements in it. But yeah, okay. Um, Last I want to say is I was very fortunate and lucky that there was like a $600 meet and greet that I couldn't afford to go to. And thank you so much, Steve. I didn't get your last name. I told you to email, but please, I want to take care of you. But he had a guest that had to run to the airport and asked if I wanted to go to it. And I said, yeah, but I can afford it, and gave me the ticket so that I could go to the meet and greet. Amazing. So grateful. And so I got an opportunity to meet her, and I'll include a picture here. And I said to her, I want to thank you for, being vulnerable and sharing this emotion with us, right? And being willing to be transparent and just honest. And that's how I started. And she said, look, it's you guys that has given me the strength for that. It's all of you. It's her fans that has given her the strength. So I think that was really incredible. I also shared with her kind of this idea that I the rewrite of Million Miles lyrics, and that I think it's important for her to know that while she has been there all along and supports us, and her songs take us through tough times. I told her directly, and I said that's what this song is for. It's important for you to know that we've got your back, and that it's not just your family you can reach out to, but we're here for you. And we exchanged a little special hug, I felt like, and that was really special for me. And so, I mean, what else can I say? I mean, I hung out with a couple people super briefly afterwards, but I had a super early flight, and it was magical night, magical day. I mean, magical trip. And I'll be doing some specific reaction or reviews really to what I heard as we go through. But thank you to all of you for continuing to support me. I hope that you've enjoyed this and got something out of it. And oh, by the way, I super quickly talked with Nina about potentially doing vocals for the Million Miles redo. I don't know if it'll happen, but she seemed like she'd at least be willing to talk, so I'm going to message her. And yeah, we'll see where that goes. But again, thank you, and we will see you in the next one.